continue beaming the final tally according to Citizen TV of the repeat presidential election results, and they will be appearing on your screen just now. Yes, that's the final tally according to Citizen TV. We do have the final tally of the repeat presidential poll of October 26th. Now, this one is collected by our officers across 264 constituencies and collated by our clerks at our tallying center. This is out of 264 constituencies, excluding, of course, Muhoroni and Kisumu West. IEBC has included those two constituencies in their final tally. Citizen TV hasn't, because 4 counties of Migori, Kisumu, Homa Bay and Siaya did not take part in that repeat poll. So we do not have any results from those 4 counties. But there is a clarification we need to make, and we'll continue making this one. The final tally that we have right now differs from what the number that we were beaming yesterday night, and after a thorough audit by our clerks, it was found that a number of double entries existed in the tally and a subsequent cleanup of the same, so the numbers dropped by about 118,000 votes. Hence the final tally that you see there, giving Uhuru Kenyatta 7,483,103 votes. That's the final tally according to Citizen TV. I'm still here with Beatrice Elachi, Speaker of the County Assembly of Nairobi, Yusuf Hassan, MP Kamukunji, and Chris Omolo, MP Kiminini. We invited Gladys Wanga, Member of Parliament, woman representative for Homa Bay County. Up to now, she hasn't arrived, but we'll continue in the meanwhile. Even as we continue looking at this headline, there's another headline that has nothing to do with politics. This one is from Nakuru, page 5 of the Standard. Malaria and typhoid hits helicopter crash divers. Several divers searching for the bodies of 5 people who died in a helicopter crash in Nakuru a week ago have reportedly fallen sick. But they are said to be suffering from typhoid due to contamination of the lake by sewage, and that is hampering their recovery efforts. Back to the headlines, and now I want us to move to page 7 of the Standard. Raila condemns violence and calls to retire. He says he will not retire. And why should he? Why should he? He is now demanding an election in 90 days. Why are you expecting? Why should anyone expect Raila Odinga to retire? Why should anyone say that he should not be part of the election come 2022?
Well, I would say that that is his democratic right. There is absolutely no problem if he wishes to participate fully in a democratic process that he himself has sacrificed and played a big role for many years. So it is a tragedy to see him opting out of that, and the opposition opting out of that. And I think the opposition has made a major blunder, and I would say they have gambled and lost. Very shortly, when they look back, they would see that having missed the October 2017 election, that was a historical mistake. And I think it is important to draw back, and I welcome the leader of the opposition's call to end violence in parts of our country. And I would say that no matter how far you have gone on the wrong road, as we have in the last, the opposition has done in the last few weeks, you can still turn back. And I'm appealing to the opposition, to our brothers in the opposition, to come back, play their role in our democratic process, play our role in promoting peace. And if in 2022 our brother Raila wants to participate in the elections, that is his democratic right. No one can deny him, and there is no age limit in our election democratic process. The unfortunate thing is they boycotted the elections, and they didn't want the Kenyan people to vote. Instead, they found out the Kenyan people have come out in big numbers to vote.
Yes, as Mheshimiwa Yusuf Hassan says, it appears, according to him, that Raila Odinga miscalculated his move by boycotting this election. Now there are calls for him to retire. What do you say about that?
I think it's Jubilee that was dying to see Raila Odinga's name on the ballots. As a matter of fact, they forced the name there despite him boycotting, because there was this conspiracy they were talking of 70+1. As you can see here, President Uhuru was competing against himself. So to them they are seeing the issue of legitimacy is lacking in this case. If Raila Odinga was there, then the aspect of legitimacy, as per from the context of his explanation, will not be an issue. But right now, the Jubilee people, they are not settled because this is a sham election. Everybody looking at it. So to them, if Raila Odinga was there, they will have seen, hey, 70 plus 1 is there. But 70 plus 1 is not there. Right now, as you can see, things are falling apart. The center cannot hold. The issue of voter turnout, we have stories here and there. We don't even know how many people turned out, but what we know is about 3.5 million Kenyans are the only ones who turned out to vote. The majority, almost about 14 million plus, they never voted. So the issue of legitimacy is the one that is giving problems our friends of Jubilee here, including Honorable Hassan here. The issue of Raila Odinga is not going anywhere. Raila Odinga, in our constitution, there's nowhere it says that when you reach a certain age, you should not go for presidency. He is a legislator. He should go to parliament and introduce a bill in parliament that bars people that when you reach this particular age, I know it is there in Uganda, but in Kenya, we do not have this. So we must follow our constitution, we must follow the related laws. So Raila Odinga can continue contesting even 2022. Why not? You know why they are saying this is because their strategy of 2022, they see it will not work. And Raila Odinga, for your sake, by the way, is not going anywhere. And that's why we are saying, for legitimacy, let's have elections within 90 days, and Raila Odinga is going to be on that ballot. Because we know very well he won the elections. Why were the servers not open? Okay. Up to now, the contempt of court.
Madam Speaker,
you know,
are you among those who are looking forward to having Raila Odinga retire from politics anytime soon?
I think one thing I want to respect my former Prime Minister is he has made Kenyans to wake up. That one I always salute him for that.
Absolutely.
He is the only politician who makes Kenyans wake up, and especially politicians. So for him, as long as he has the years God has given him, he has a right to be on any ballot. The only problem I have with my former Prime Minister, or those who advised former Prime Minister, was to refuse to just go for this. I mean, this is him himself going to court. Being given the verdict was on him. I mean, he celebrated, he has won, and for me, I wished he proved IEBC wrong by ensuring the issues he raised in court, he goes through the process so that he's able to come back and say, look, I told you people, this institution called IEBC has done this and this and this, but for now, which path are you using? Or how are you going to face even the judge to tell him this was a sham when you yourself did not participate to prove, so that you have your notes, you've gone through, your agents have told you, right now you have verified Form 34. As you see, Citizen has verified. So does NRM want to tell us that today in the morning the 7,483 that you feel is the right result is a sham to you, what you have gone through? And that is where I have a problem with the NRM, where you must sit down and tell Kenyans, since you boycotted the elections, which process are you taking Kenyans through? And we need to understand, how sure, Mheshimiwa, are you that you'll be able to sit with anyone on the table to prepare now your 90 days? Because you're just talking about it, but you're not telling Kenyans, we have the power to now tell you, in 90 days we shall go back to Parliament and prepare and do this. Tell us. Prove to us how we are doing this 90 days, where you are lying to the former Prime Minister. It can happen, and you know very well in Parliament you don't even have the numbers for it to happen.
And on the question of what next for Raila Odinga, now there's that resistance movement, National Resistance Movement, NRM, that he declared, and he said that's the way forward. Now he says he's demanding for an election in 90 days. Which is which? Are they connected?
Thank you. I think, Fred, give me more time because you're having the Jubilee both sides. So give me enough airtime so that I can be able to articulate on my issues.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Now, first and foremost, I want to say this. Why we're insisting this was a sham election. Even you go to an exam and you see everybody's passing with 98% they were seeing, that exam has a problem.
But you did.
Maybe the exam is too easy. And when you see the two Jubilee people, you know, nagging that why Raila was not there, is the issue of legitimacy. These elections, President Uhuru Kenyatta is competing against himself. We must agree to that.
We have 8
candidates million that we have here. It is still questionable. Absolutely. I want to emphasize. I'm emphasizing the same way you people are saying that why was Raila Odinga not there? Give me more time. Now the issue is this. This is our country. This is our country for both NASA and Jubilee, and that's why the issue of going back to dialogue takes precedence. The church had spoken. The civil society had spoken. That the two sides of political divide should come together, sit together with IBC. Raila Amolo Odinga went to IBC, President Uhuru didn't show up. President Uhuru came later, and instead of going to the referee place, the referee went to Harambee House. Look at that intimidation.
No,
but here you are coming in as a candidate. You're not coming as a president. The both sides of the divide, you come together. We need this country. And I keep telling the Jubilee people, if we borrow the words of Martin Luther King Jr., that we must learn to live together as brothers, or we perish together as fools. Yes. Whatever we are seeing here should not have been the case if we have sat together and tried to come up with the issues of the irreducible minimums. Because Raila Odinga didn't just boycott these elections from nowhere. He came up and said, these gentlemen are the issues. About the Al-Ghurair printing the ballot papers, it was proven that it had printed papers which didn't have the security features,
but now
didn't have the serial numbers, so we wanted to change this.
It's the issue of moving forward, and last week there's that issue of the NRM, National Resistance Movement. Yesterday there was not much mention, if at all, of that resistance movement. Don't you think it was a well thought out
NRM
option for moving forward, because now the demand for another election in 90 days seems to be the latest push?
NRM, the National Resistance Movement, is an organ under the NASA coalition. We're not saying I said it's an organ. Can you listen? This thing is a virtue. You see, at your age, you should not be shouting like a teenager. With due respect, honorable.
If I knew your age,
just give me time. I explain. Absolutely, yeah. So NRM is an organ or a subdivision under the NASA coalition. And we are going to have a comprehensive statement. So we're not trying to quote NRM to the Ugandan NRM where they have the military, and we don't have a military, for heaven's sake. And we have not said we are taking boys anywhere in our forest to come and fight, because that has been the narrative from the Jubilee side. So listen to us. We are going to give a comprehensive statement on how they're going to work together. So in this case,
it will go along with the demand for repeat election.
Absolutely. No, we're not going to demand. We are going. That's our strategy. We are going to work with it. So that's our strategy. It has nothing to do with the demands. The demands were totally different. When you go back to the irreducible minimums, this was the issue.
I'm asking the demand for a repeat election in a fresh election in the next 90 days, vis-a-vis this plan for NRM. Are they going in tandem?
The NRM has nothing to do with the repeat elections. That is our own internal strategy. So forget about the issue of saying that it's going to be a demand, because this is not a military wing the way the Jubilee is coming up with its narrative. And I'm here to clarify, because I'm part and parcel of the NASA leadership. So we're not going to say that we're going to have a military somewhere or an army somewhere to come and fight. Please.
I don't think Chris Wamalu was consulted on the formation of the NRM, the militia group that the opposition has.
He has clarified that.
No, but I don't.
It's not a militia group.
I don't think.
Let's stop that narrative.
Engage in that back and forth.
Don't run away from that. I remember the women brigade. This is how you pushed us, and I saw everywhere flashing.
Unless we can substantiate.
Absolutely.
I don't want to talk about the militia. I'm not talking about militia.
Let me say that Mr. Chris Wamalwa has got a wish list, which is just a dream. That in fact there will be elections in 90 days. We've just had an election. President Uhuru Kenyatta is the president-elect. The issue of turnout is not an issue. Historically, repeat elections have that problem. We should look at countries like Liberia, Ghana, and Cote d'Ivoire that have had very low turnouts after a repeat election and disputed issues. And so far, 7.4 million people have voted as far as citizen is concerned. I don't know where our brother Chris has got these figures that contradict everything that has happened. Now, it is very clear that NASA had lost its way. They backed out of the elections. They're now confused. They have created a militia group whose intentions...
Once again, you mentioned militia, which I thought clarified on
yes,
that. Let's not revisit it.
There is a resistant movement. Resistant movement you can calculate in many African situations. Is that in Africa, opposition parties usually never accept results. They want to plunge their countries into chaos. And this is what we are fighting against. We've had a legitimate election. If it is the intention of NASA to participate in the democratic constitutional process, they are most welcome. But this is a wishful thinking to say that we would have to go back to elections in 90 days. We are not there yet. We have just done an election. Let's get on with it. We welcome our brothers if they want to participate in the process. Another word that Chris just injected in our discussion is dialogue. You know, the Kenyan people have already expressed themselves in an election. Now, the president-elect, President Uhuru Kenyatta, is going to be a president for all Kenyans, including those who did not vote for him.
Yet, Deputy President yesterday, speaking to Al Jazeera, indicated that yes, there could be dialogue,
yes,
but on other matters.
Yes, exactly, because now as the elected leader of this country, he's going to bring our people back together. He's going to have a discussion with
so it will be dialogue towards reconciliation.
Yeah, but not necessarily with certain individuals or with certain political parties. It's dialogue with all Kenyans so that we can come together, we can work together for the development and progress of our country.
Okay, Madam Speaker.
I think one of the things we keep on forgetting is that this process, and I keep on reminding ourselves that thing, and I just want to remind ourselves again, this is a process we were ordered from our Supreme Court. Whatever we do, whatever Chebukati does, everything goes back to whoever brought in this new baby. And that is back to the Supreme Court. If there's anything anyone feels it's a sham, it's not. It is only one person holding that key. The person who ordered us to go back to an election. And therefore, if anyone feels the results are not right, the process, that is why the Chief Justice himself, people will wonder, why did he go to an election? But because when you come back to him, he will also explain what he saw in his, because those are some of the issues.
When you say with such finality that you accept that yes, you're going back to court, it means that you're open to the fact that the court could rule any way.
I am saying
they could rule.
I am not even accepting. Well. I am telling all Kenyans, all of us.
So it is a possibility that we could go back to elections if at all the courts determine that.
That is why I'm saying whoever holds the baby, we are not holding it. Let us not presume, debate, presume judgments that we don't know. Just the way we didn't know on 8th, let us leave it to the court.
So it is presumptive for the deputy
because
president.
We went back. We finished our elections on 8th of August. The winner was there, clear winner, and now we are back on an order that we were given. We have respected that order for the sake of our country. We are back. We have finished the process that brought us and the issues that were raised. And that's why I keep on reminding NRM that if indeed you respected that order, you would have gone through the process and then go back to the same order, whoever ordered, and say, we have respected the order, but this is what we feel.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's move on now. There's another headline on page 7 of the Standard. Treat enforce voting in Kenya, lobby says. This is a lobby linked to Jubilee. Council Chairman is Ababu Namwamba. He says the codification of the right to vote in law will address most of the issues currently being experienced. The council, calls itself Council of Kenyan Professionals, wants voting made compulsory.
This is
do you think that this is a possible solution to the kind of issues? Because even a repeat election, whether NASA pushes for it or Jubilee pushes for it, could still have these issues of turnout, which you're now using to question the legitimacy of this process.
First and foremost, I want to tell you that Ababu Namwamba is a busybody who is looking for relevance. And this is a club of job seekers. They are political rejects. I want to say that. He's been a member of parliament. Why did he bring that legislation on the floor of the house? And when it comes to legislation, you don't pass a law in vain. You can't come and say that you're going to force everyone to vote. him as a lawyer, I expected him to have reasons beyond that, because it is very ridiculous for you to come and say you want to allow to be enforced so that everyone becomes compulsory. So suppose people boycott, let's say 2 million. Why are you going to take these people to the cells? Do you have even the capacity of these cells? And look at Article 38 of the Constitution, which is in the Bill of Rights, that it gives that provision that everybody has a right. You can decide to vote or not to vote. So he knows even very well any amendment of the Bill of Rights, it must go through a referendum, not even from what he's proposing. So the issue is this law from the word go, it is irrelevant, it cannot go through because it's very difficult when it comes to implementation. And what Ababu is doing, he's just running up and down to be relevant as he tries to job seek, thinking that if Jubilee forms government to be given something. And he's not going anywhere. These are political rejects that we should not entertain. They've let us down badly, and that's why in their political
I think it will be...
Before we come to you, I do understand Samuel Atandi, MP Alego Songa, is on phone. Good morning, Bonatandi. Bonatandi, can you hear me? Samuel Atandi, MP Alego Songa, can you hear me? Yes, we're looking at the headlines this morning, and perhaps the biggest one is that we're expecting Wafula Chebukati to probably announce, make the official declaration of the results. We already seen the numbers. What is your expectation going forward now that we are here and this announcement could be made today?
We don't hear him.
Because we did not trust the process, and we did not believe that Chebukati and this commission had the capacity to conduct a credible election. So we pulled out of it, and we have been vindicated that IBC as is constituted could not do an election, a credible election. You have seen the Deputy President acting as the chief returning officer for this election, basically declaring results even before IBC announces. And so we have said that we are not going to recognize the results. We are not going to recognize the outcome of these results. We are not going to recognize Uhuru Kenyatta if he's going to be announced as the president. And that is very clear. So we have, as NASA, we have set out our activities which we are going to do to ensure that Uhuru Kenyatta is not sworn in as the president of Kenya. That is very clear, and we have said it. Yes, Fred.
Thank you for your contribution, Samuel Atandi. MP Alego Songa speaking to us on phone this morning. We'll continue in studio with Beatrice Salachi, Speaker, County Assembly of Nairobi, Yusuf Hassan, MP Kamukunja, and Chris Omalo, MP Kiminini. Madam Speaker, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I wanted to say it will be very wrong for us to talk about Honorable Ababu here in a very wrong way. Number one, he has a right to say all what he has said, but at the same time we must respect him. And I want to tell Mheshimiwa Chris, Honorable Ababu Namwamba has been in Bunge 10 years. He has just started. He hasn't finished the 10 years, so he's a senior politician that we just need to respect. These are his views.
Yes.
He's in Bunge. He can decide to quote that. But that one I agree. Yeah, and that is why we cannot say that he is in the he's not in the dustbin, and he is not roving to have a job. He has a right as a Kenyan to have any job, because even those who are on the NRM side, they are waiting for former Prime Minister to get something so that they can get jobs. So let us not lie here about jobs. Everyone wants a job. Yeah, that one I agree. You are in Bunge, it is for you to decide. But to say...
Do you agree with the proposal? Do you think it's a proposal that will work, that we make voting in Kenya compulsory for everyone?
Well, you can't enforce it. You can't enforce it.
Yes,
well, let me also add my voice, having served twice in Parliament with Honorable Ababu Namwamba. He is a fine and brilliant Kenyan who is entitled to his views. And so I think we should respect that. I find it strange that Honorable Chris Wamalwa does not respect the constitutional and democratic rights of every Kenyan. He is very selective in his views. But coming to the issue of votes, is that in this current election, the problem was not the fact that people did not turn up for elections, but in fact they were denied the right to vote in many parts of the opposition areas. They were denied through intimidation, they were denied through fear, and at times through direct violence. So what we need to address is violence. The use of violence by certain political forces in our country should be condemned.
Yes.
They should condemn it, as I have seen in the papers today. And I want to ask my brother Chris Wamalwa, who is also a very good parliamentarian, whom I respect, and we have served in many committees, also to speak here against violence.
Okay.
Does he support the use of violence to deny Kenyan voters to come out and express their democratic right? Does he support the view of some members of his party who are calling for the use of whatever means necessary to stop those people who disagree with them?
Okay. Yeah. And they'll get a chance to answer that. But Mr. Babuna Mwamba suggests here, and I quote, this is a direct quote from the newspaper, page 7 of the Standard, that we believe making voting compulsory will defeat political manipulation, violence and intimidation and protect the right to vote in every corner of the country. He seems to suggest that this proposal could have been the remedy for what we just said. Do you agree with him?
No, I would say that this is an issue that we need to discuss, but as the others have said, in a country with a lot of areas of underdevelopment in terms of connectivity, in terms of development, it will be very difficult. There's only one country in the world that has compulsory voting, and that is Australia, which is much more developed in terms of infrastructure and much smaller in population than us. So I would say that it's a good idea to reflect on, but
it could be an ambitious an overkill for now.
I doubt whether we will be able to achieve it.
I think, Fred, as I mentioned earlier, Honorable Babu was in Parliament, and I never saw him bringing any law.
But probably we have not experienced what we just experienced now, because some laws changed out of necessity.
For him to come out now, he's been moving up and down, condemning the other side. He overrates himself. He said he'll make it in Budalangi without Raila Amolo Odinga. Where is he? That's the question to be asking. So when I make my comments here, I make my comments objectively, not in any way in a sycophantic manner. So this kind of legislative proposal, you cannot enforce it, and it's impossible.
Okay.
He's just fighting for relevance, for his survival.
As we get closer to the end of our news review this morning, I'd like us to take a look at the cartoon on the Daily Nation. And this is the question we started with. Page 14 of the Daily Nation, the cartoon. I don't know if my director can help me with this. Where the business community is asking how much longer we keep going round and round in circles. Politics dirtify. Page 14 of the Daily Nation, that's where the cartoon is. Yes, yep, you can see politics dirtifying the floor and the business community trying to clean it up and going round and round. And the business community asks how much longer. This is a question we started with. As you make your final comments, is when do you think we can achieve finality in as far as this electioneering process is concerned? Because we need to get to an end at some point, Bwana Yusuf Hassan.
Absolutely. I think also speaking as a member of parliament who represents three of the major markets in our city, the Eastleigh Business Hub, the Kikomba market and the Bama market, this prolonged election process has seriously affected our lives, people's lives. It has affected businesses. It has affected schools. The process of education in our schools. Schools had to be closed several times. Even now, I hear that exams cannot take place in Migori, and I call upon our brothers and sisters in Migori and in the opposition to make sure that the children of Migori are allowed the right to sit for those exams in a peaceful and cordial environment. We simply cannot allow them to be denied the right to sit for their exams just because of politics. So I think, and overall, if you talk to Kenyans, ordinary Kenyans, they have suffered. They are tired. They are exhausted, and they feel that it is time that we return to normalcy. We return back to, and in every election that we have in this country, because of the acrimonious nature of those elections, our GDP goes down, our economy goes down. It is a high time that we think about the economic growth and development of our country, and it is time now we focused on peace, tolerance and coexistence. The elections are now behind us. We need to come as Kenyans, sit and move forward and get on with our lives. And I think the business people have every right to be concerned about the economic costs and the losses that they have suffered as a result of the election process that we've had.
Thank you, Bwana Yusuf Hassan. Bwana Chris Wamalwa, do you think we are anywhere close to achieving finality in this process?
I think dialogue is the way forward, and this can only be finalized if there is justice. The Supreme Court was very clear in terms of conducting the elections in line with the Constitution and the related laws. The issues of illegitimacies, the issues of the irregularities that were there, until those things have been solved, there is a level playing field. We give Kenyans a right to choose their leaders. As we have said in NASA, we want uchaguzi bora, not bora uchaguzi. Like the elections we've had, it's just bora uchaguzi. I don't think they meet the minimum threshold as per the Supreme Court. And in a matter like this, I'm requesting Kenyans, not necessarily NASA, the civil society out there, to go back to the Supreme Court to get an advice whether these elections really met the threshold of the Constitution. Because we are tired, and the moment we go round and round in circles, we're not going to go anywhere until we have the truth, until we have the justice.
Well, finally, Speaker Beatrice Alachi.
First of all, I want to say that on August 8th, 15 million people went to the ballot. We are registered 19 million, 15 million participated. In the whole world, even in our own by-elections, we always have low voter turnout. For us to come and sit here and listen to NRM telling Kenyans again we have to wait for 90 days so that we have the best of the best, I think it will be very unfortunate to the country. For us at this hour, we are fatigued as Kenyans. We have gone through this process twice. Trust me, I want to tell NRM, if you go, or even if you push how, Kenyans will have the lowest. Forget about this. But I also want to ask NRM to be fair also to the media houses and to everyone. Because when the media flashes on their screens 7.3 and you say 3 million came out, it means you are not even trusting now the institutions of media. You're not now there is no institution you are trusting anymore, because we have tried our best to follow this process so that we can come to closure. 7.5 million people have woken up. They have done what is best for the country. We want now to take back our country from the politicians, and let us finalize. The year is ending. We have orphans, children, homes. They are suffering now. I believe you are suffering because of adverts. You should be now bringing in adverts for December, not adverts that have, I mean, we have talked on this media on politics until we have killed all the other institutions that are supposed to bring revenue for the politicians to get their high pays. So I want to tell as you go and look for salaries, you are killing where your revenue source of bringing that salary is. Can we come to an end? Let us look at the right way of taking Kenya to the next move. I want to end by thanking Madaraka Express to bringing in now a county train. At least coming from Mombasa to Mariakan, now you can pay 50 shillings and all over, but at the same time to plead with the Goretino. I want to plead to my young people. I am thankful. We talked yesterday, we talked the day before yesterday, both sides, and we agreed we're not going to kill anyone anymore. We're not going to destroy property. And I am pleading even today, as we move on, kindly respect property. That is where you go for your jobs. We don't look at who works where. With the moment you burn that property, you have destroyed one's life, a family's life. I plead to them, let us live in harmony. There's no need of us killing each other because of an election that was ordered by the courts. Let us respect the courts on what we have done.
Thank you, Speaker Beatrice Alachi, County Assembly of Nairobi, Yusuf Hassan Ethika Mukunji, and Chris Wamalwa MP Kiminini, helping us look at the headlines this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, the biggest headline today has to do with that IEBC getting ready to declare election results as Raila protests. Chebukati, fresh poll results dilemma. What will happen? Let's now link up with our reporter at the Bomas of Kenya, that's the National Tallying Center, for this repeat presidential poll, Sam Gituku. A very good morning. Now, of course, is there any indication of what time this announcement will be made, if at all it's being made today? There's still that issue, the legal puzzle of whether or not elections will still be held in the four counties of Migori, Nyanza, Homa Bay, and Siaya. Kindly brief us on those two questions.
Well, good morning, Fred, and your panelists. Yes, we're still waiting on the National Tallying Center to hear from the IBC commissioners. What we understand so far is that the commissioners will be making their way into the National Tallying Center in a few minutes, but basically they are having a plenary meeting later today to discuss the matters that you alluded to in terms of the 25 constituencies in the Nyanza counties, on what fate should befall them, bearing in mind that the National Tally so far indicates that 265 constituencies out of the 266 constituencies that participated, the tally is out. If I may just take you through the total so far, it is that Uhuru Kenyatta has 7,475,398, and then Raila Odinga has 73,166 votes. But of course, you understand why that is the case is because he boycotted his election, and so the turnout so far, according to the constituencies that have been tallied, falls at 42.36%, indicating that 7.6 million registered voters came out to vote in this election. So what you're expecting to hear from the chair or from the commissioners is the Fafi constituency, which you understand that from 34B and 34As from that constituency were brought in last night, and now what is expected is to hear the verification process, how far it has reached, and also to hear the final tally from that constituency so that it can be added to these 7.6 million registered voters who turned out to vote in this election. And then after that, as I said, the plenary will be meeting to discuss the fate of those constituencies in Nyanza region. But basically, you realize that the commission has up to Wednesday to declare, or rather to announce and declare this election, bearing in mind that they have 7 days as per the Constitution and the Elections Act. And so the expectation is to hear from the commission. What do they decide? Will they hold an election, or the repeat election in the 25 counties tomorrow, or will they proceed on to declare the total as of what they have received? So that is the decision that the plenary is supposed to be making. And if they decide to declare without having those constituencies participate, then the declaration is very likely tomorrow, because now they're still going through the final touches inside the National Tallying Center. I'm sure we can get some images from inside. You will see that the level of activity has really reduced, because most of the work has already been done. As I said, 265 constituencies already verified and announced, and of course added to the national tally. So what just remains is the Fafi constituency. The other thing that we'll be expecting from the commission, yesterday you had the chairman give an explanation of how the voter turnout, the confusion that has been with the voter turnout, how it has been spinning across the social media, but he was trying to come out and indicate where he got the 48%, where he got the 6.5 million registered voters who participated in this election, as he tweeted on the night of 26th. And so today we'll be expecting to hear from him explain the difference between you understand that he has said that more than 37,000 polling stations came out to vote, but according to the KIMS logs, the logs that indicate the voters that were identified through the KIMS gadgets only account for 36,800 polling stations. So the expectation will be to hear from him the remainder, which is about a few hundreds. We will be expecting to hear from him how many registered voters were identified in those locations. So and then also to add to the national voter turnout, what figure we should be working on. And then the other thing that we expect him to explain to the nation is in regards to the persons who identified manually, or rather through the complementary mechanism, where some voters may not be identified through the KIMS gadgets. Their biometrics are not working, so they have to be identified manually. So we'll be hearing from him what are the numbers, because you realize also there is a statutory form 32A which indicates the persons who are unable to be identified through the KIMS kit. So we'll be expecting to hear from him what the numbers are and how they affect the national voter turnout in as far as that is concerned. And so Fred, even as we anticipate the final announcement and declaration today, then the National Tallying Center will turn into a behavior of activity, because the candidate to be declared winner in this election has to make his way to the National Tallying Center. So as soon as we are able to see the change of, especially of security mechanisms, the security infrastructure, the security personnel who will be here will be sure to link up with you and inform you what is really happening and changing, so that it can indicate what the situation is likely to pan out in the next few hours or so today. Fred, studio.
Thank you, Sam Gituku there, reporting live from the Bomas of Kenya, which is the National Tallying Center. And that's where the focus will be the entire day today. Of course, in anticipation of that announcement, IBC Chairperson Wafula Chebukati could be making that declaration of the winner of the repeat presidential poll, plus some other announcements as expected with regard to what happens to the 4 counties, as Sam Gituku reports the 4 counties that did not take part in that repeat poll, as well as the fate of those voters who were not who were identified manually. We'll continue getting updates from there. And as I leave studio, let me remind our viewers that Citizen TV has the final tally of results from the repeat presidential poll of October 26th. That's the numbers. Those are the numbers we are beaming currently on your screens. That's the final tally. The number, according to Citizen TV, is not expected to change. Now, these are numbers collected by our staff from all the 290 constituencies across the country, 291 constituencies across the country, and collated by our clerks at our tallying center. Now, another clarification we need to make is that our final tally, as it appears on screen right now, differs from the number we were beaming last night. And after a thorough audit by our clerks, it was found that there were some discrepancies, there were issues of double entries in some cases, and a subsequent cleanup of the same. So the numbers dropped by about 118,000 votes. Hence the final number you're seeing right now on your screens. Those numbers are from 264 constituencies, excluding the constituencies from those 4 counties that did not take part in the repeat presidential election. My name is Freddy Ndimuli, paving way for some more music by Carlos Kiba and the band, comprising vocalists Frida and Zach on the keyboard. Dr. Wale will be in studio. It's Inspirational Monday. Yes, Dr. Wale will be in studio. Do stand by for that. From me, it's good morning.